Real disaster, a real emergency, you really have to be prepared to take care of yourself and your loved ones, because if you think some kind of magic cavalry's coming, they're not. And that is why we formed the United Cajun Navy. We're up to like 14 state chapters outside of Louisiana. Our motto is united is strength. It just means that if we all work together, we can accomplish anything we need to. The real mission statement is just to pool our resources and make sure that people that need help in an emergency get it as fast as possible. We say we're the first shrimp boots on the ground, because we might not be the first guys there, but we're the first ones wearing shrimp boots. We know that.
For people who wanted to be a part of the United Cajun Navy, or, do you have to be a boat captain? Do you have to be a pilot? I mean, like, I'm here in LA, I'm going, we should start a chapter out of here. And who can volunteer? Who can be a part of it?
We don't self-deploy anymore. It always comes through an official channel or through a partner nonprofit that is in the area that asks us to come help them out.
And so men and women who had boats, who saw a need, just kind of went to the city to try to help. You get deputized. I mean, you were finding, I remember the X's on the doors and the houses, where finding people dead in the, I mean, you guys kind of did it all, right? Okay, welcome to another AlderTalk, and I'm very, very happy to be here with Brian Trascher, who's the Vice President of the United Cajun Navy. And so we've heard all about, just generally, at least I have growing up and being around in Louisiana, the United Cajun Navy. But Brian, thank you very much for being here. And by the way, thank you for everything that y'all do. This is going to be an interesting discussion about the Cajun Navy, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We always enjoy trying to tell our story and spread our message about what the organization does. And as you know, that our roots go back to after Hurricane Katrina, when the federal and state government response was woefully underwhelming, is probably the most kind way to put it. And that's when a lot of people realized that, in a real disaster, a real emergency, you really have to be prepared to take care of yourself and your loved ones, because if you think some kind of magic cavalry's coming, they're not. And that is why we formed the United Cajun Navy. We're up to like 14 state chapters outside of Louisiana. And we do a lot of search and rescue. We do a lot of supply distribution. We do a lot of community events. But we're known as, people who have heard of the Cajun Navy think about guys in boats pulling people off of roofs and floodwaters, pulling them out of flooded cars, things like that. And we still do that. But what we've really grown into is we now have a 55,000 square foot warehouse at the Baton Rouge Airport that's packed with pallets of everything you could imagine. We could really open our own Costco if we wanted to. But nevertheless, I wanted
to stop you because I want to hear about that, but I want to put this in context for some people. So you're a New Orleans native,
right?
Yeah, and I grew up across the lake. When Katrina happened in 2005, it's crazy that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the impetus of really kind of the start of the beginning of the Cajun Navy.
Yeah, and I can tell you the exact story. If you remember that the city, obviously after a few days when the flooding, the levees broke and the city flooded, it started really descending into chaos. We weren't even having police doing law enforcement. Some of them were switching sides. It became very desperate.
Yeah.
And so at that time, President George W. Bush appointed General Russell Honore to take over what they deemed to be Joint Command Katrina, or Joint Task Force Katrina. And he became the chief executive of that, the commanding officer. And when he got there, there had been a lot of people that had come on their own from all over the state and even from other states with boats trying to help rescue these people out of the floodwaters. But then when this chaotic situation, there were some instances of gunfire and different kind of altercations. And some of these people were like, hey, you know what, this isn't worth it. They hitched up and went home. But when the general made a call and said, hey, if you're still here with a boat, come meet me at the Superdome at this time and place. There was 68 boats that showed up. He got all the captains together and said, hey, listen, he said, I have the ultimate authority in this state until the president says otherwise. He says, you guys, I'm deputizing you guys. You're going to be my Cajun Navy, and we're going to go out and we're going to save lives. Don't let anybody tell you can't go here, you can't go there. You're all reporting to me. He said, if any politician tries to tell you anything, tell them to talk to me.
All volunteers.
Yeah, all volunteers. And our founder and president, Todd Terrell, was one of those 68 boat captains that was there after the storm doing rescues. And so he and the general stayed in contact over the years. And then fast forward to 2016 when they had a really devastating flood event in the Baton Rouge area and surrounding parishes. Todd got a lot of his groups back together and they went out and did the same thing. And then following year 2017, Hurricane Harvey hit the Houston area. And they did the same thing again, even more people. And that's when Todd decided, hey, look, we really need to form an actual organization and make it a nonprofit so that we can dedicate to full-time keeping personnel and equipment on standby, because it seems like every time the government gets caught off guard, their response is really slow and people die.
Well, so it started as volunteers, and over the next 10, 12 years, you saw the need, and it became such a need that you guys became an official 501c3?
Correct.
Right. And so now it has a much more organizational structure with fundraising and donations, and we'll make sure that we put all of that information here in the podcast. But I want to go back because I think you and me to a much smaller degree, but you know, my family didn't get flooded, but every third tree got cut in half and you couldn't move, and right. So, you know, different things, but let's paint the picture real quick. Louisiana, the sportsman's paradise, right? A lot of people have boats, the water's everywhere, fishing, you know, etc. And then New Orleans kind of goes underwater, a levee breaks and the Lake Pontchartrain comes into, basically fills up the basin. And you mentioned chaos. We're talking about you can't drive anywhere. People who can get to the top of a building are just abandoned there for 3, 4, 5 days, right? And I know my nephew was a Jefferson Parish sheriff, and the PTSD after that was just craziness.
It is, and you know, you think about the topography of the city of New Orleans. It's you know, they call it the Crescent City because it's on a curved part of the Mississippi River. To the south of it and the north of it is Lake Pontchartrain. So if you count the outfall canals, it's really like an island, but it's the topography. It's shaped like a cereal bowl. So the city center, where all the famous stuff is, Superdome, French Quarter, all that is right at the bottom of the bowl in the deepest part. I think it's about 13 feet below sea level. So when the levees breached and Lake Pontchartrain just started dumping into the city, it just filled it up until it was full. It just filled up until it was done, until it was even with sea level.
And so men and women who had boats, who saw a need, just kind of went to the city to try to help. You get deputized. I mean, you were finding, I remember the X's on the doors and the houses where finding people dead in the, I mean, you guys kind of did it all, right?
Yeah, and you know, there was a lot of sort of build up to it. Obviously, you know, when you have a storm as powerful as Hurricane Katrina, you know it's going to be bad, but you really don't know until you know. But there was a sort of a late call from local officials to evacuate. By the time they did, there wasn't a means to evacuate, and of course, there's a lot of people that don't have the financial means to evacuate themselves. And so they stayed home, and then they decided the Superdome was going to be a shelter of last resort. So, and then you also got to think that the landfall was August 29th. So you're talking about the hottest, most oppressive part of the year in South Louisiana. Some of the most miserable weather on the planet is in late August, early September. And after the storm, there was no rain, there was no clouds. It was just bright sunshine and 90-something degree temperatures. And these people are outside with no power, some of them on a roof because they had to get to high ground.
No shade.
And they're just baking in the sun with no water. Elderly people who need insulin, medications, babies who need formula, diapers, all that kind of stuff, they have nothing. And they're sitting there going, and people watching on TV in other parts of Louisiana and other parts of countries. And what the hell country am I looking at? This looks like a third world country. This is the United States of America. Those are United States citizens. Why is nobody helping them? And so, being the type of people we are here in South Louisiana, as you well know, we take care of our own. So people just said, hey, I feel helpless sitting here. I'm going to go get my boat. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to get these people off the roof.
So community,
and that's how it started.
That it started. And then obviously hurricanes come over the next years. You guys grow. And as now it went from kind of a volunteer group to now a more organized group. Tell us now, obviously it started out of goodness and kindness of people wanting to help others. Does the United Cajun Navy have kind of a focus where they help and kind of a motto or a philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, our motto is united is strength. It just means that if we all work together, we can accomplish anything we need to. The real mission statement is just to pool our resources and make sure that people that need help in an emergency get it as fast as possible. We say we're the first shrimp boots on the ground because we might not be the first guys there, but we're the first ones wearing shrimp boots. We know that. Yeah. So, but look, now we're to the point. We're still an all volunteer organization, but now we're to the point where we have enough experience, equipment, and organization to where official agencies, sheriff's departments, the different departments in the state of Louisiana, the federal government, Coast Guard, FEMA, all that. We're now working with those guys on different levels. It's different on every level. But they call on us to help out quite a bit, and it's gotten to the point where it's not just a hurricane season thing. We didn't have a landfall in the United States in 2025, but we've been very busy this year. Matter of fact, starting with the LA fires in January, that was our kickoff for 2025, and we never really let up.
Y'all came out here for the fires?
We did. We had a partner over there that was. Part of, I forget the name of the organization, but it's I think it's an organization downtown LA that works with the homeless. And that guy had a relationship with a pastor of a church that was a friend of ours, and he was like, "Hey, man, there's people that are displaced, and and of course every area's got homeless people, so they're just running away from the fire." So we ended up partnering with the UPS Foundation, and they carried a lot of freight from our warehouse in Baton Rouge with blankets, clothes, hygiene kits. Just we try to focus on what is somebody who has lost everything, literally has nothing but the clothes on their back, assuming they still have those. What do they need for the first 3 or 4 or 5 days to absolutely just survive and be comfortable? And we've been able to put together kits like that and ship them out very quickly. And that's what we did. And I went out there. One of our partners is a well-known storm chaser named Reed Timmer, and he was out there chasing the fires, but he was also helping us make sure that when our truck showed up that the supplies got distributed. And we were giving stuff out to LA County Sheriff's Department and some of the firemen that had come from all over the country to fight the fires, and really got to meet some of the air bosses that fly those firefighting helicopters. I mean, I'm a pilot. These are real pilots. These are some of the baddest ass pilots I've ever met. The ones that fly those choppers.
God bless y'all. And it's all volunteer and donations?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. We have a network of partnerships of other companies and nonprofits. There's liquidation companies, nonprofits. They all take in different kind of supplies. And so basically what it becomes is you might have one organization that focuses on children's items, and they get a bunch of water filtration systems or ice chests or something they really can't use. And they'd be like, "Hey, Cajun Navy, you guys could use this. We know y'all always get a bunch of diapers and stuff. So we'll swap it out. So we'll keep our inventory more centered around disaster response. And then some of the stuff we get definitely doesn't have anything to do. We get a truckload of recliner chairs. You know what I'm saying? People just send us stuff. And so we'll find somebody that can use that and help people out that need a recliner chair. I'm sure somebody needs one, but usually not in a disaster. I mean, after a disaster, somebody needs to replace everything, but that's not really a priority item,
So, I mean, I'm here in LA and I go back and forth to to Covington, across the lake,
Right.
but I think some stuff that also hit the news that I know. Was it earlier this year or at the end of last year with the flooding in Texas? Y'all went out to the flooding in Texas.
Texas, yeah, Texas was July 4th of 2025.
2020, yeah. So it was this year, and
Yeah.
again, something like that happens. How does that start, and then how do you all start getting involved? Does it usually kind of, you see the news and kind of some of y'all go, okay, it's time to get moving, or is there a call? Is there an outreach?
Now, yeah, we don't self-deploy anymore. It always comes through an official channel or through a partner nonprofit that is in the area that asks us to come help them out. And so in this particular case, every year, right around, but before hurricane season really ramps up, we'll invite some of our friends and leadership from other chapters around the country to come to Louisiana and spend a few days. We call it a summit, like we're just kind of, planning, but we'll take them fishing. We were all down in Grand Isle and we were fishing all day, and then we went bow fishing that night. So we were up late, and so we were seeing the alerts real time about those floods in Texas. And I just knew when I saw it, like, this is going to be bad. Like, I'm sure we're going to get a call. And, bright and early the next morning, I'd only been asleep about 3 hours after cleaning my redfish, that I got a call from a congressman in Louisiana who is close friends with the congressman that represents that area of Hill Country, Texas. And he said, "Hey man," he said, I just talked to Chip, like it's really bad. He's like, what kind of assets can you deploy?" And I said, "I can put stuff in trucks, start sending it that way." I said, "But it sounds like they need SAR teams." And so we started flying some people over there. And he's like, "Hey, if you fly," he's like, "come pick me up in Lafayette." And that's what I did. I went and picked him up, and he wanted to be on the front lines and help us do search and rescue. And that's what we did for a few days. And I had teams stay out there for a few weeks.
Y'all's personal boats, personal planes?
Well, yeah, we have our own planes. We have our own boats. We get volunteers to bring their own boats as well. In this case, the day of the floods, one of our Texas United Cajun Navy Texas members has like 4 airboats. I think he does charters outside of San Antonio, and we were able to get in touch with him, and he deployed those boats over to Kerrville and was able to get them in the water that afternoon. So we had volunteer boats same day before we even got there, before our supply line even got there. And that's the beauty of the chapter system, is we have a network that we can do rapid response, assuming we have people in that area.
So now with that context, tell me again, I know you mentioned it, like how many chapters, kind of where are they?
I think we're up to like 14, or mostly what I call the SEC states. If the state with a Southeastern Conference school in it, then we have one. But we also formed one in Hawaii after the Maui fires. We formed one in the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian, and we formed one in, it's kind of a joint when Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands after Hurricanes Irma and Maria.
And because people maybe not from the SEC are watching this, you're talking about Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, that kind of...
Kentucky. Yeah, Tennessee.
Yeah. Wow.
South Carolina. Yeah.
So when did you first become involved? Have you been involved from the 05 or a little later? Or?
No, I got involved in 2017. I always tell the story of I got involved because I was running my mouth when I shouldn't have been. I had done some, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had done some work for the State Department down in Cuba. And I'd been down there several times, and they had just had the transition from Raul Castro to Miguel Diaz-Canel as the current president of Cuba. And I was out in San Diego, actually, and at a meeting, and a network over there had asked me if I'd come on air and talk about what was going on in Cuba. Well, when I got to the studio, that's when the news started breaking about Hurricane Harvey. And they were like, "Hey, we're going to bump this interview." Be like, "Oh yeah, you went through Katrina. Like, you want to like just stick around and come on air and talk about hurricanes?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And at some point in the conversation, they brought up the Red Cross, and I just kind of blew off, the handle and said, "Oh yeah, don't give anything to the Red Cross. None of the money that you give to them gets to the people that need it." I
Right.
said, "There's a group of guys called the Cajun Navy that are on their way there with their own boats and trucks." I said, "Go find them on social media and donate directly to them through PayPal or whatever." I said, "Because they're just spending it on gas." And when I got home a few days later, I had a message at my office from the Red Cross. So that's but they weren't mad at me. They wanted to let me know that they worked with a Cajun Navy group, Todd, who founded the United Cajun Navy. They set up a dinner between us, and we met several times subsequently. And I agreed to help them organize everything as far as like getting incorporated, getting the 501c3, setting up bank accounts, doing everything right. Because at the time it was very shoestring. Even though he was doing a lot of work, the back office was very shoestring. And then after we set that up, just things kept happening, like Hurricane Florence in North Carolina, and just different events would happen, and I would help out. And then he just finally said, "Look," he's like, I need you in this organization. I want you to be the vice president, be my number two." And so I've been there ever since.
Did you have training in rescue or organizational? I mean, obviously this isn't your income producing job. Is that something
Correct.
you were interested in?
Yeah, I've always been interested. I mean, I've always been into boating. I'm a boat captain, not professionally. I'm a pilot, not professionally. I'm a diver, not professionally. I pretty much do all those things so I can go catch fish. But at some point, I realized that God called me to go learn those skills so that one day I'd be able to use them to help people. And then since then, I've been working on. I've done swift water training. I'm working on rescue diver courses to increase my diving certifications. So yeah, it's just one of those things that I went to Brother Martin, Brothers of the Sacred Heart, put a big emphasis on community service, and
I went to
when
St.
you're a
Paul's.
teenager, what's that?
I went to St. Paul's Christian Brothers schools.
Yeah, so it's the same. Christian Brothers is the same way, and they put a big and you don't get it when you're a teenager. You almost think it's like a punishment. I got to do service hours, but then you grow up and you realize that hey, you were really privileged for your parents to be able to afford you, send you to a really nice school and get a good education. So you should give back. And so over the years, I was a president of a Kiwanis club. I've done a lot of service, and then when I got involved with UCN, that's when I decided that like this is going to be my main philanthropy. I can see an immediate impact
Yeah.
right away. I can jump in and professionally I've been a lobbyist for 29 years, and so my natural instinct is to fix things and solve problems, and cut through red tape when possible. And that's exactly I think what UCN needed was to not. They were a little bit adversarial to law enforcement at first, and I tried to teach them how to make relationships during blue sky season. I tell them that every single mayor, sheriff, police chief, whatever, the first thing they want is a firm handshake and a hello, and then when they're not busy, and then they want a capability statement, an asset list, and how to get in touch with you. That's what they want. Like, and they might not give you an answer that day, but I
Right.
guarantee they will hold on to it and they'll call you when they need you.
You take the territorialness out of it and you just make it a helpful thing.
Yeah, our favorite two words is force multiplier. United Cajun Navy is a force multiplier. We're never in command of anything. We're never in tactical command. We're never in charge of anything, really. We go in to agencies like just recently with the U.S. Coast Guard when they had this downed Cessna in Lake Pontchartrain. Hey, come help us search because we're only going to be out there for 48 hours. And there was multiple sheriff's agencies out there as well. The weather was really bad. They knew we had sonar and canine dogs and things like that. So, yeah, the trust factor is starting to build. There's still some. I mean, like there's still some resistance with some personnel that are territorial in certain agencies, but for the most part, and I always tell people the funny thing is like rank and file, like police officers and things like that are they come from they cut from a certain cloth, right? They're very like regimented, usually military background and whatnot. But then their bosses, whether it's like the sheriff or a mayor or something like that, those guys are politicians. So the politicians love us. So the rank and file guys, even if most of them like us, but the ones that don't just tolerate us, if that makes sense.
I can see you out there doing wrangling all those personalities, and I want to talk about some specifics, but just because we're on this topic, for people who wanted to be a part of the United Cajun Navy or be we're going to talk about donations in a minute, but
Yeah.
volunteering, do you have to be a boat captain? Do you have to be a pilot? I mean, like I'm here in LA, I'm going, we should start a chapter out of here. And
Yeah.
who can volunteer? Who can be a part of it?
So anybody can volunteer, and really, like most people, when they say they want to volunteer, usually it means they want to do field work, and that is sort of like a different level of volunteer. You have to be vetted. We have to kind of look at your resume and kind of see what you bring to the table. Not because we're like trying to be snobby about it, but we got to make sure that people are safe, not getting in over their head, and of
Yeah,
course there's liability issues and all that kind of thing. So,
sure.
but I got people that call me up that are like, "Hey, I'm retired, I'm disabled, I'm this and that. Like, but what can I do?" I say, "Hey, you can get online. If you're on like Facebook or Instagram or something like that." And everything we post, just share it. Share it with all your friends because the more it gets out there, the more it helps us out. That's something that's free and easy to do. Anybody can do from home, their phone or their computer at home. And then you go up a level to like, back office and warehouse support. So I told you we have 55,000 square feet, which is huge. And it's packed with just rows and rows of pallets and gaylords and boxes with supplies. And they come in, really, a lot of times they come in, we don't know what's in them, but they come in like unsorted. So like, say if we get like 10,000 coats in, they're going to come in a bunch of different pallets and boxes. You take them apart and you sort them to where you got all the extra large, mediums, you know what I'm saying? So that's very tedious work. And so we're always looking for volunteers that are in the Baton Rouge area, be willing to come and spend some time in the warehouse, just helping us do busy work like that. And then you graduate up to like, actual field work. That's when we put you with our deployment director, Colonel Fonseca, and our incident commander, Josh Gill. We put you with those guys and kind of let them go through some procedures with you and kind of vet you out and then decide if they will use you in the field or not.
So as part of this, we're going to post all of the contact, all the social media, all of the place to donate. But because I know from my experience, people will watch this and not necessarily look at sometimes the text. What are some of the big ticket social media sites for us to go to if we want to repost? Where can we look on web? And let's put it here kind of in the video as well.
Yeah, so our biggest platform's always been Facebook. It's kind of the one we started out on after I guess it was during Hurricane Harvey, and Facebook had been out for a few years at that point, but that was about the time it was really starting to get popular as a platform, and we have the most followers. I think we're up to like over 720,000 followers on our Facebook page, our main page.
And that's United Cajun
And so
Navy.
United Cajun Navy, yeah. Yeah, I always tell people to use the word United because some other kind of group might pop up that is, trying to get your donation that you're meaning to send to us,
Yep.
unfortunately. But nevertheless, yeah, United Cajun Navy. But we're also on Instagram. We just started a YouTube channel. We were a little late to the game on YouTube, and we should have been earlier, but we're trying to make up for it now. We're on TikTok. We're on LinkedIn. I mean, all the ones I can think of we're on and have some presence. But for the most part, it's going to be Facebook and Instagram. And that's because we cross-post Facebook and Instagram. We actually have a social media team now that's posting everything we do on all of them for the most part.
And we just search
Yeah,
United Cajun Navy and it'll come up.
yeah.
Probably United Cajun Navy, at United Cajun Navy, or is it?
That's it.
UCN? Yeah.
I'm
Okay, great.
pretty sure that's it. But if you just put United Cajun Navy into the search bar, it'll definitely come up. You'll see our logo that's right here on my shirt, similar to that.
Yep.
And yeah, and that'll be it. And yeah, so the social media has been really good for a way for us to communicate. A lot of times we'll be getting when something's going on, we'll get a lot of media inquiries, and we can't answer them all. So we putting stuff out on Facebook and on the platforms helps us keep them informed as to what we're doing as well. Plus, they like us because we get really good content. We let them use it for free. So yeah, it's
By the way, on Instagram it is United Cajun Navy, and
yeah,
just got another follower. And
nice. And TikTok, I think it's United Cajun Navy official might be
yeah,
the actual
yeah,
term. Yeah.
exactly. We're going to put all that in here, and we'll make sure that there's also a donation link. And you know, in an environment of a political country where, depending on where you're coming from, it's either horrible or great or, and, taking away benefits, figuring out. It's so nice to know that there are just Americans that are
Yeah.
interested in helping other people, and it's not anything other than people who need help, right? So,
It's one of the best parts about this job is that when we go into a disaster theater, everybody just kind of puts that stuff aside, and people. It just goes to show you that at the end of the day, the American people are not what the media portrays as being as. And I mean, it's a divided country. I get it, but day to day, people just want to live their lives and be kind to other people and have people be kind to them and go to their kids' soccer game and get a latte in the morning and go on a family vacation. I mean, people just want the same things out of life, and when they see other people that get their life gets severely disturbed through no fault of their own, you really see the outpouring and you see the best in people. And I deal with politicians in my day job, but the United Cajun Navy deals with politicians a lot too. And we just recently had a deal where we were shipping some hurricane relief supplies directly from Louisiana, Gramercy, Louisiana, which for those of you who don't know, it's in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge on the Mississippi River. And this company actually has facilities in Jamaica, coincidentally, and they reached out and said, "Hey, look, we're sending ships. Y'all come bring us stuff to bring down there." And so we loaded up some pallets, sent it to them, and they 4 days later, this stuff was directly in Jamaica. I got a call from guys like get a call from guys like Steve Scalise, who's a Republican majority leader, and I got a call from Congressman Troy Carter, who's a Democrat and chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus. So when it comes to that stuff, they don't care. They're just like, good job, guys.
You know how I know Steve Scalise? He was Skeech, my fraternity brother at Acacia at LSU.
Oh goodness,
no kidding. I'm like, wait, is that Skeech? Steve Scalise.
Skeech. I didn't even know he had. Next time I see him, I'm gonna have to ask him about that.
Yeah, ask
name.
him and tell him me. I mean, who knows? That was shit. That was 35 years ago. Small world, huh? Last couple things.
Yeah, you probably know Jeb Bruno too. Jeb Bruno. Was he in Acacia the same time you guys were?
I don't know if it was Bruno, but there was a Jeb. I do remember Jeb.
Okay.
Taller guy.
All right.
Yeah.
No, definitely not a taller guy.
Okay, that's not him. Some of those years were a little hazy back at LSU.
I was a KA. You don't have to tell me.
Oh yeah, y'all were right down the road. Yeah.
Right down the road, and I'm just glad that there was no social media back then.
No kidding.
Or camera phones.
No kidding. As I end, I want to personalize it a little bit with you, and people ask me this when I'm a lawyer who's done this for a long time. They're like, "What's the one thing that stands out?" And I'm like, "There's not like one thing, but just for you." And again, it doesn't have to be the top or the favorites. Maybe the first thing that really kind of comes to your mind, like personalize it for you, just an experience or something that happened that you did or you saw that really kind of encapsulates why you do what you do.
So I can give you a little bit of a hybrid example from two deployments in the last year. Number one, in North Carolina, we were able to, obviously it's a mountainous area. There was a kinetic flood wave that from the trillions of gallons of water that got dumped down that washed away a lot of those mountain communities. And my daughter had just been at a camp up there in North Carolina with her class, and they had to leave early because Hurricane Helene was coming. And she got home safely, thank God. But then, like a few days later, that camp was gone. So it was personal to me in that sense that, and then of course, trying to just help these people. It was hard to get to them. We actually ended up using donkeys and mules to take generators and Starlinks up into the mountains because there was places we couldn't land the helicopters. There's places we couldn't get the side-by-sides. So we're using 1824 technology to carry 2024 technology up into the mountains and get people back online and get a real head count. And the interesting part about that is, like, after we started doing that, we actually had 300 Starlinks donated by Ivanka Trump and a nonprofit she's affiliated with. And within like 4 days, the missing persons list went from 4,000 to under 1,000, simply because we were able to get people back online with the Starlinks and power up their phones. And then fast forward to Texas, that was a really tough one for me because I knew that there was over 100 souls missing, and the majority of them were young girls. Like I said, I'm the father of a 14-year-old girl, so I was praying to God. I was like, please, if I find a victim, please let him still be alive, because I'm just not ready to see a little girl who's deceased that might look like mine. You know what I mean? And I just can't imagine what those parents went through. And I had some really heavy hitter SAR teams with me, guys that have been multiple deployments in combat, and they really mentally tough. And there was one guy who he was on a different team than me, but he had come across some human remains, and he was we were checking with everybody. He was fine, but then he came across a Bible that was buried in some debris, and he opened it up, and you could tell it's a little girl's Bible. It had her name in it, and she had made some notes and kind of dog-eared some pages and had drewn some hearts around certain passages and things like that, and he lost it. I had to pull him and send him to the counselor. So, this is a guy who's just a trained killer who can find a dead person, be fine, finds a little girl's Bible, and loses it. So that you just never know how anybody's going to react. And that illustrates, too, why we don't just send anybody into the field. They have to really go through our little vetting process.
Well, Brian, amazing. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything that y'all do. I mean, just kind of restores a little faith in humanity sometimes. But I appreciate you coming on here. And as I told you, I'm coming down for Christmas, New Year's. I'd love if you're around the same thing, I'd love to come shake your hand.
Absolutely, yeah. I should be around a good bit during the holidays myself, so we can definitely get that set up. And I always tell, and you're from Louisiana, you know this. Like I always tell Billy Nungesser, our lieutenant governor, I say, Billy, our number one culture in Louisiana, our number one export in Louisiana is our culture. But my goal is for our second biggest export to be the Cajun Navy.
Yeah, God bless. And let's see if Lane Kiffin can get the Tigers back on a winning streak. Anyway,
I've already offered to take him and Knox gator hunting, so I'm waiting on.
That's great, wonderful. Well, Brian Trascher, United Cajun Navy. Thank y'all. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being on AlderTalk. For those of y'all who are watching this, we'll have everything in the link and in the bio to connect, to donate, to follow, and spread the word on social media. So, Brian, thank you very much.